HCR FM. That was Gaz Reynolds and a song called In This House. Of course, we have Gaz with us here in the studio. So tell us a bit about your inspiration for that one, Gaz.
That record actually broke when I was 14, and strangely enough, I did a TV show a couple of weeks back where they asked me the story behind that song, and I said, well, I was 14 when I wrote it, then I re-recorded it, and then Viola Wills got involved in doing guest vocals on the track, and then a lot of people were saying this is a great record, send it out, send it around, and I didn't have a deal at the time, so I heard about a radio promoter in West Hollywood called Harry Rosen, who used to be the head of Island Records. Sent it out to him. He called me up within about 10 days and said, you're going to have a huge radio hit out here, and he was very right about that, because he got it onto commercial hit radio and it was being played alongside the likes of Eminem, Kylie Minogue, LL Cool J, and there's quite a lot of links up on Google even now, and that was many years ago. Recently we re-recorded this track and remixed it and put it onto my new single, Plastic Girl Regeneration.
Right, which of course you can find on iTunes.
And any outlet really around the world.
So and more information on www.worlddominationrecords.com.
WorldDominationRecords.com. Yeah.
Okay, now we have the next track from that you brought in is from Redkay and Somiak?
That's right. We've got two artists, Redkay, who's in Austria, and Somiak, who's in Peru, and they're both artists signed to my label, both dance artists in their own right, and every so often they team up together and do projects, and they've just released this new fantastic single, which is really creating a storm everywhere at the moment, and they've got a great video with it which you can watch at www.worlddominationrecords.com.
Okay, and now do you get to travel around a lot in your work, or?
I used to travel worldwide. I've been to Australia. I was on Kiss FM in Australia, Dancing with the Stars in Australia, and then US. I had a huge career. That seems to be picking up again, because I took 3 years out from music, and I've just recently come back into music. So I'm finding now I'm getting TV appearances, radio interviews, and there's thousands and thousands of links on Google about me, stories and things.
And of course Australia is becoming actually, I guess, a bit of a leading edge in music.
They absolutely love anybody from overseas in Australia, because basically there doesn't seem to be many artists around in Australia. They've all left. And come here.
Because I know our director of music, Shrey Puranik, he was in yesterday. He does a show from 10 to 2 just after mine.
Right. And
talking about, I know he's a huge fan of Australian radio and listens to online to different stations all the time, because he hears the newest music seems to be coming alive there first.
I literally, about 3 weeks ago, it's interesting you're saying that, I had a top 10 chart entry with Plastic Girl Regeneration out in Australia, because there's quite a lot of Australian networks that seem to follow me around and sort of jump on the bandwagon. But I found as soon as I went to Australia, I was being invited into studios and radio stations and all kinds of stuff. I think if I'd been out there a bit longer, I would have been on a lot more. And one of my artists, Bleeding Brain Music Inc., who you're going to hear a track from later on, he's actually based in Melbourne in Australia, and as soon as I was out there to sign him, he was straight on Noise TV doing an interview which can be viewed online as well.
Okay, well, let's listen to this one. This is called We're Not Dead Yet by Redkay and Somiak.
That's right.
Okay, you're listening to The Sunday Brunch with Gary Walker and Gaz Reynolds joining us here on HCR FM. HCR FM, World Domination Records, that one by Isaac Angel called Dark Lady. That's really nice too, I like that.
That's
it takes me back to years ago in the 70s when I was living in America, and I used to go to discos back in my younger days, the 70s and 80s. In my reckless youth, I used to work in a hotel. I worked as a night manager of a hotel in Baltimore, Maryland. Wow. And on weekends, I would get in my car and I'd drive to Rehoboth Beach, which is on the Maryland coast. And I used to go to discos there and just sort of stay in these little guest houses, because I lived in the hotel, so it was, you couldn't really get away from the job. You were constantly on duty, constantly on call, and so it was a way to get away. And it used to enjoy spending some time out dancing in my younger days. Not so much these days, though. For me, well, I can't say, at least I'm not up to Strictly Come Dancing yet.
Well, that artist, Isaac Angel, he's actually from San Francisco. So he's actually from your kind of territory.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, just a few thousand miles, but...
We don't usually do cover versions on World Domination Records, but we have done two. And the reason why they've come out on World Domination Records is because they were really, really good, and the artist made them their own records, really, and we don't really want to reproduce anything.
Right. Okay, so here we are. We got about 15 minutes before we go back to news, and the last cut that you have from us is by Red K. Now, we heard Red K along with Somniac later. This one, I guess, is solo by him.
That's right, and this one is the Star Wars influence track that I was telling you about.
Okay.
And if you love Star Wars, you're going to love this video. So head over to www.worlddominationrecords.com, because the lightsaber sequence in the video is basically a lightsaber fight between two Jedis. And it's just phenomenal. But the track is just brilliant, and Red K, who's in Austria, produces all his own material, and he wrote this track, and then got teamed up with the video producer and director, and came up with this fantastic product, The Legacy of the Republic, which is available on iTunes.
Great. So if you want to see that video, you just go to www.worlddominationrecords.com, and
That's
you can find the video there. If you've got your lightsaber handy at home, pick it up, get ready to do dance along with this one. I mean, it's coming up just after 9:45 in the morning, so it's sort of past the breakfast, and some of the house problems.
Get your groove on first thing in the morning.
You can do this and get away with it. Nobody's going to question you. It's it's not like your mother-in-law is watching, we hope. So here it is, The Legacy of the Republic, Red 20, it's 9:51, that would make it 9 minutes away from 10 o'clock, and we have sorted out the issue of the CD player. I was just talking, The Who was playing, and as I said, I saw them live in concert in Kansas City, Missouri, back when I think I was like 12 or 13 years old, which is going back many years. And at the time, I didn't have a clue the importance of what I was watching. And quite honestly, I only remember that I was there. I don't remember the concert at all, not even one bit of it. Oddly enough, the only concert that I remember, and you may or may not know this group, the Styx.
I've heard of them.
Styx,
yeah.
And they did a concert called, well, it was the one that one of their more popular songs probably made it here was Mr. Roboto.
Right. Okay.
And that show that featured the Mr. Roboto called Kilroy was here. That's one of the first concerts that I went to that I actually can remember. And not because of there are people that go to concerts and don't remember it because of other reasons, like things they may have smoked or drank. It just, well, I have a memory of a goldfish anyway. So what were we talking about? Who are you?
Yes, right.
We have Gaz Reynolds with us now. We're going to try Red K again. I think I
was getting worried that we weren't going to get that track on, because I was getting worried that I would have to sing Singing in the Rain, and I thought I was going to have to do it naked to sort of liven up the slot where we had the little techie problems. But it is a live show, isn't it? So
yes.
Yeah, sometimes you have to improvise and
always have a backup plan upon backup.
And you had a very good backup plan, which was The Who, a great band.
Yep, and a great track from that. Anyway, here it is, Red K on HCR FM. On HCR FM, that was Red K and the Legacy of the Republic. from World Domination Records. And we were talking that some of the songs now, the trend is for shorter songs.
That's right.
And I can remember in my dance days that songs lasted forever. I mean, Disco Inferno by the Tramps, I think, went on for 12 minutes.
Right, well, going back even further than that, back into, I think it was the 50s and 60s, records were notoriously about a minute and a half long.
Oh, I did an oldies show. That was my break into radio. And it used to be using vinyl as well. And you had to queue up the record, and you were constantly queuing up records because they were so short.
Right, and then, of course, the sort of towards the end of the 70s into the 80s, you had the 12-inch single, and everything sort of changed. And but now it seems to be going the other way, and you've got to have shorter singles and less remixes. Back in the 80s and even into the 90s, it was a big thing to have remix after remix of the same track to make it appeal to different fan bases that might like a different style of music. So you might have a pop track, but then you've got to have a trance mix of it or a house mix of it to make it popular.
Yeah, I mean, I say I've got 9,000 songs on my iPad, but some of those are the same song remixed 12 different times.
Yeah.
And invariably I'll pick the wrong one. Well, I thank you very much. Gaz Reynolds has been our guest with us this morning. World Domination Records has some great music, which you can get to if you visit www.worlddominationrecords.com. And songs available from Amazon, from iTunes, and any of the other outlets that you may want to get music from.
That's right, all the major outlets around the world. Thanks ever so much for having me back on, Gary. It's been great being back here, and I'd like to thank all of your listeners for tuning in. I think I mentioned to you earlier as well, the last show we blogged and we ended up having over 3.5 million viewings on various sites for the show, so that was pretty good. So we're planning to do the same with this show.
Great, well, we'll certainly look forward to that. And we've got a look at the news and travel, that coming up in just a moment. So keep it right here all morning long.